Hello and welcome to Oakville Matters. Thanks to your TV, we get together every week and talk about the things that matter to Oakville. Right now, what matters the most seems to be getting over or getting out of or reopening after the extensive restrictions we've been through for COVID-19. Joining us today are councillors Pavan Parmar and Sean O'Meara. Pavan is the councillor for the north part of Oakville, and Sean is the councillor for the west part of Oakville. I used to say the southwest, but you go all the way up to Dundas, so you're the westerner.
Yeah.
And Pav, I guess you're the northerner.
Yeah, that's right.
You share territory with a little bit of folks on the east, but it's not significant, I don't think, is it? So today we've got all kinds of news. There's we're continuing to open. We've made an announcement at the town of Oakville that we're working on developing new summer camp programs for kids as soon as we get the guidance, I guess you could say, from the province and can map something out. So we had to cancel the ones we were planning because they would never work with all the distancing that we're required to do. Pav and Sean, I think this is something that a lot of folks who are hoping to go back to work are counting on as part of their childcare planning. What are you hearing in terms of your residents?
Well,
sorry, go ahead, Sean.
I knew that was going to happen. Sorry, yeah, no, it's you know, a lot of the magic number here is, well, it's great that parents can go back to work, but what do we do with our kids? And if there's not a way to help our residents either have children in proper day camp planning or in YMCA or in school, then it's hard for the parents and the economy to get rolling the way that I think all of us want it to happen. So I was very glad to hear that the town is working on something that we can put forward for residents. I know they rely on our programming and on our summer camps and day camps, and I think there's a lot of happy parents eagerly waiting the news on what that's going to look like.
I hold in my hand the guidance from the province issued late yesterday on how to run summer camps, and our staff are hard at work redesigning summer camps to match this. And I would say, based on the apparent speed with which Premier Ford is relaxing his restrictions and lifting some or parts and sometimes all of an order to close things down, that over the next 2 weeks, I think we'll start to get some clarity from the province. The province.
I also think it's important to let residents know that we as a town, we plan to support as many residents as possible to our full capacity, but at the same time, we need to follow those provincial regulations that are put in place. And I think some of it falls on the employers as well to embrace work from home until September. And, you know, having that option as well will definitely help a lot of residents. I know some questions that I've been hearing too is what will the new camps look like and what age groups it will be. And I believe it is for, I know I saw it somewhere, the older students, I think ages 4 to 12. So, you know, people need to be aware and plan around that as well, that it will be for ages 4 to 12 and it's going to be very limited capacity.
Now, it's going to be more expensive to run these things, and so the fees will probably be higher than they used to be. Mm-hmm. And people need to know that and prepare themselves for that as well.
Yeah, and I think another question was, how will parents be notified when the new camps are open? And so for those that have been registered or were previously registered for our program, you will receive an email notification. And if you were not previously registered, just keep an eye out for our social media, because our staff at the town will definitely be putting up that information as soon as it's available.
That's right. Through that same mechanism, we'll be canvassing the previous customers and users of summer camps in terms of what the new cost will be. And their feedback will then help us gauge how much of it to roll out. So what else are you hearing from your residents? Sean, what's the top of mind down on the, because you got a little bit of beach space down there in your ward.
Well, we do. So there's a bit of an eagerness to get out and to use the public space available that we have, whether it's the waterfront trails, the boat launches, the harbors. I know that we're working hard to ensure that the docks and the boat launches is ready for the water users and for those people who want to go and enjoy the waterfront down here. So I believe we're going to have that ready this weekend, and we opened up the Brawny boat launch last weekend.
Yeah, so this weekend we're launching boats. The docks were finished, my information is, last week. And our view at Town Hall is that the beaches are open. That said, we never have put lifeguards or anything on our beaches. They're not really proper swimming beaches, they're more like wading beaches.
Yeah.
So there are other communities that have a requirement to have public health do water testing before they can open their beach. But we haven't really had that problem yet. So,
yeah, no, and I mean, the only thing we have to do is watch out for the geese around there. It's they can be a little testy if you get too close, but no, it's a great location for people to go and spend some time outdoors.
yeah, you guys know that the goose relocation program has been canceled for COVID, and I'm not sure exactly what the rationale for that is, but maybe there was just nobody available to do it. But the result is that we've hired additional students to help try to clean up behind the geese, and you're going to have a lot more geese in our parks. And of course, there are residents who like to feed them, and that of course encourages geese. And so it's not fair to feed them and then complain about what they do with what you feed them.
Always a good reminder, don't feed the geese.
And if you do, please don't complain about what happens with what you fed them.
Well, if you feed them, you got to pick up after them. That's the rule.
That's the solution. That's what we need. You feed it, you clean it.
Yep.
So what else? Pavan, you're usually full of news from your ward.
Yeah, so I've been hearing from residents. I mean, I think the town's been slowly reopening outdoor amenities safely. And so as things are changing, it's kind of tough to stay caught up. I know that the pickleball courts and the tennis courts opened up earlier, but now we've also added basketball courts to that. So I did hear from a resident today who unfortunately was scolded by another resident saying, no, the basketball courts aren't open yet, but they are. And, we do encourage that you maintain the social distancing, go out with a friend or two, not crowd in the basketball courts, and, be safe while you're playing. And, but yes, we can confirm that the basketball courts are open. And again, you can always check on the town websites for new amenities as they begin to open. I know that the town is also in the works of opening up public restrooms, but those are not yet open. There are some processes and procedures that we need to put in place in terms of cleaning these public restrooms. So once those are open, we will definitely be announcing that as well.
Well, that's right. And until we do get them open, you need to plan your walks. Like, everybody needs to know how far he or she can go, and then only go half that distance so that you can get home in time. And so plan ahead still is an idea. And one of the things, what you talked about, the basketball courts, that reminds me of a popular saying I'm trying to start, and you can help make it popular. Word of mouth is great, except when it's wrong.
Yeah.
That catchy? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, I will tease everybody with the facts that we're working hard to get the splash pads and the swimming pools, the outdoor swimming pools, open. They are not allowed to be open yet by the province, but we are working very hard to be in a ready stance so that when the province, so that means we're researching all the best, the state-of-the-art advice about how to run those safely, so that as soon as the province says we can open them, we are prepared for what they'll probably say the rules are. So we're trying to lean forward on this to be ready for the things that you need and want from the town. We still get complaints about Lions Valley Park being closed.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, it's sort of near each of you in a way, but not quite in your wards. What's your, how much do you know about it? Do you want, Sean?
Yeah, well, I know. We've had some issues with the pathway system up there that needs to be redone. A little bit of emergency work, and with all the delays on construction throughout the whole COVID scene, and the shortage of workers able to do it, we've had to keep that closed, not due to the COVID reasons, but for safety reasons. So,
Yeah.
from what I understand, we're working away. We've got a contractor who's going to come in and hopefully have that ready for July. I think about 3 weeks worth of work or so. So maybe the first couple of weeks of July, hopefully we'll be able to reopen that park, from what I understand.
The problem is the severe washouts on the trails that made it unsafe. And the solution is 3 weeks of work, and that's begun. And I'm expecting in 3 weeks that we'll have that open. And, tell me I was bad and tell me I was wrong if they aren't open in 3 weeks, but that's what we're working to do. Are you getting any complaints about long grass?
Yes.
Yes, I see heads nodding. What are you telling people?
Pavan, you can take a shot at this one.
Well, the town is operating on limited resources, but, keeping our parks and recreation areas clean is definitely top of mind and a priority. I am getting some concerns. Residents, obviously, with long grass comes a fear of ticks. So I've been sending out some informational videos on, how to spot a tick and what to do if you find a tick. And so that's been helpful, but I know the town is working to address the long grass areas in each of our parks and public spaces.
Yeah, my advice is, well, first off, we have some parts of town where we're doing the grass cutting on a 7 to 10 day cycle. We have other parts of town where we're hitting maybe 17-day cycle. And so my advice to you, if you're concerned about ticks, is avoid long grass. We have short grass everywhere, as well as long grass in some places, and you have a choice as to where you are. And if it's a real problem, call me, or your counselor, and they'll call me. But we will turn and address any hotspot. And speaking of hotspots, the hottest topic this spring so far has been the pupping going on with coyotes and the way they aggressively defend their pups and themselves. Have either of you got problems with coyotes? What do they call it? Denning.
Denning.
Denning coyotes in your areas?
Well, we've had another unfortunate incident about 3 weeks ago in Ward 1 here down on Victoria Street, where a little dog was taken by a coyote, an aggressive coyote at the time. It's not unusual. It's a little normal. I mean, times are different. I think a lot of the wilderness has come into our areas a little more because of a lack of traffic and a number of these things. But yeah, the coyotes are always aggressive during pupping season. It's usually May, June is the most aggressive time frame for them. So I know the town is working on a communications plan. We work very closely with the Oakville Humane Society and MNR, the Ministry of Natural Resources, to try and ensure that everybody can be safe. But we live in wilderness, we live by the lake, we live by rivers, we live with these animals, and it's important that we inform ourselves and have the education and know what to do and where to go and how to deal with the people we share our communities with.
Well, yeah, we're not the only creatures attracted to green space. We Oakville residents share a preference for green space with the wildlife, and the Ministry of Natural Resources doesn't allow us to kill or remove more than a kilometer a wild animal, and that's because animals are territorial, and when you kill or move one, others move right in. So nothing is gained, and so every year we have to educate people who may have moved to our beautiful green space and didn't realize that wildlife comes with it, that oh yeah, that's part of the system.
Well, and I know, Mr. Mayor, that's the same with more people out walking now and trying to get out. It's been more prevalent because more people are seeing it and more people are out at all times of day. Whereas, so I think that that's amplified some of the calls and concerns we've had, is just the sheer number of people out witnessing what maybe their commute to Toronto and back never allowed them to witness before, is nature in their backyards from time to time.
Yeah, for something like 13 years, my family, we had an Airedale, and Airedales are pretty large, pretty strong, pretty ferocious, and we never let our Airedale off the leash, and we never exposed our Airedale to the threat of coyotes. I mean, I could bet that a coyote might win that an Airedale might win a fight with a coyote, but not without being damaged.
Yeah.
And we loved our dog, and we kept her healthy and alive until she reached a natural end. But you have to be responsible and keep track of your pets. I have a neighbor who has a very small dog, and she is delightfully funny about it. She calls her dog a snack dog, and she's very careful not to expose it to coyotes.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good time to mention that the town will be hosting 2 virtual coyote and wildlife public meetings. And I believe that we'll be sharing those details on social media. There's 2 dates, so residents can join in and learn about how to live in coexistence with wildlife and some tips and tricks there. So you can definitely register. We'll be sharing that on social media shortly as well.
And June 17th and June 25th are our target dates. There's an easy to remember email, enforcement@oakville.ca, if you want to email in and sign up early, or you can wait for the social media campaign. And then that'll be like this, at one of these video participation things, right? Pretty soon we'll all be Zoom
Pros, yeah.
Zoom pros. Zoom, I don't know. How do you take the word literate and add Zoom to it? Zoomerate?
Zoom idiot.
Zoom idiot. Yes.
Maybe that's not it.
We could get there. Have you had any discussion with your friends and neighbors around the so-called regional reopening idea that the medical officers of health in the 34 health districts submitted last week to the premier? And I think his first reaction was that he didn't like it, and the last thing he said a couple of days ago was that he's looking at it now. Any discussion happening that you're aware of?
Yeah, I mean, I think it does make sense that some of the remote areas, especially in particular up north, or even Kingston. I mean, Kingston's a bit of an island unto its own. It's hasn't got too many close neighbors, but a cautious reopening is a good reopening. But again, we do have to be careful that, as we were talking about earlier, I need a haircut. If I have to drive 45 minutes to go and get a haircut, I'm thinking about doing it. So, we have to be careful about what what we define by regional and what we allow to open it up, because we don't want the sort of, not cross-contaminate. We just don't want the virus to carry any more than it needs to, or than we can limit, or else we lose track of it. So I think that's a good idea, but cautiously.
Well, I'm not looking for extra customers, but my wife cut my hair on the deck Sunday, and she told me she's very happy with the result. I'm not presuming that anyone else will find that it's satisfactory, but she did trim the wild edges. The fact is that the Oakville area, I publish every night a table in my nightly newsletter that shows how very good it's been in terms of impact in Oakville and in Halton compared to, say, Toronto or Peel or Quebec, which is the closest thing in Canada to Lombardy or New York, although I don't know that. Well, yeah, Quebec's right up there. So it does make me hope that we can have a little more relaxation here than others could. Although if people come here from other places, I'm not sure how long our better status will
Oh,
last.
and Mayor, maybe I'll just take that moment on the positive and optimist side about when we can reopen to thank your economic task force and town staff for putting together a plan to allow patios and bistros to open up and to use some municipal space that we have to expand their footprint. We know it's going to be tough. We know the restaurant industry was hit. It's one of the toughest sectors that's been hit, and when they do open up, the guidelines are going to severely restrict what we would all come to expect for a restaurant in terms of capacity inside those buildings. So, we want to give all of our business areas and all of our restaurants and retail areas every fighting chance to survive. And I know the community recovery initiative that was passed at council last week and that came from your committee really goes a real long step to making sure that happens. So I think that was a great news story for the town and for the restaurants and businesses here that we all want to see thrive and support.
Thank you very much for that. We had restaurateurs on the task force, and that helped us focus in on that. We have other businesses as well. Are there any restaurants in your wards that you want to give a shout out to, Pavan or Sean, to encourage people to give them a little love?
Yeah, well, there's a lot. I don't know if I could list them all.
Well, at the risk of playing favorites, go ahead and name any you want to.
Well, I mean, I've actually on my social media been sharing the posts and the deals that all the businesses in Ward 7 and some in the rest of Oakville have been promoting. So Huck's Pub opened up again in 16 Mile Sports Complex. And so they're doing deliveries as well. So, any of their specials that they have, I'll post it to my page. I have a little section for support local. And I keep the posts up there. So anytime residents are interested in seeing, if there's any deals, a lot of businesses are working hard and offering things like free delivery and contactless delivery as well. And they have promotions. So definitely supporting all of those businesses that are local.
And in Brawny, we've got Catch Hospitality, which is the group, the Fire Hall, Coochie, Tavalo, Plank. They employ over 380 people in the Brawny area in particular. And most of those people are all local and they're hurting really bad. So, they're looking forward to opening up to serving the clientele, the client base that they have. They have a new restaurant that just opened up about a month before COVID came down, Por Vida, the Mexican restaurant. I mean, it was tragic for that. But, Le Creperie, the Parisian, the creperie place, Thai Senses from Taste of Columbia, the coffee shop, to the Cove. We've got a number of restaurants up and down the street on Brawny and Lakeshore who have been struggling and who need your support and who are all looking forward to the day when they can serve their guests and see the friendly faces. We're all a big community here, and you get to see familiar faces coming into your coffee shops and restaurants, and I'm sure they've all been missed, and so has the staff been missed seeing them on a regular basis.
I was impressed with the what we usually think of as the Oakville Conference Center on Brawny Road near the QEW. They opened up for takeout. I hope I've tried everybody who's open for takeout, and I think I was their first customer, as a matter of fact, and it was very good. So I can, from firsthand testing, certify to each of you and to everybody who's watching that Oakville's restaurants that are offering takeout are doing it very well. And it's very smooth and convenient. They tell you what time to swing by and pick it up. They all have, I think, without a word of a lie, I think everybody also has delivery, but you're showing them more love if you do pickup, because then they actually make a little money. When you factor in the delivery, I'm not sure any restaurants are making any money.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you're tired of being in the house anyway, right? So it's an excuse to have a little quick moment out. So I recommend all that to you.
I've been honing my cooking skills over the past 2.5 months to a level unprecedented before in this household.
Well, you realize that you'll never go back. They'll never let you.
Yeah.
So another thing that I get, do you get this, is someone will go shopping and they'll come home and they'll call me or send me an email saying such and such store wasn't enforcing social distancing. The employees weren't wearing masks, and you've got to force them to. Do you get anything like that?
I haven't. I mean, I think we have the Superstore up here and Longo's and Fortino's. Those are our main three hubs, and I think they've been doing an excellent job. And now that we have the shields installed too, I think it's important for residents and customers also to follow the arrows inside of the store. I know that can be, you know, you don't need to go to that aisle necessarily, so you skip an aisle and the arrows are not the right way, but you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with reminding our frontline workers in the grocery stores too, if you feel uncomfortable, you know, to wear a mask. A lot of grocery stores are offering masks right when you walk in. You can purchase them. Some of them are giving them for free. But I haven't heard much on any complaints on grocery stores actually.
Yeah, I've only heard about one store, and it's a big chain. I'm looking at you, Home Depot, that people are reporting being a bad actor, a bad player. But there is a phone number. This is a provincial, that particular enforcement that people want, that's a provincial matter, and there's a provincial phone number to call if you are concerned, and that's 877-202-0008. And we'll put that up, I think, so that you can note it down if you're minded to be an amateur enforcer. The other way you can deal with it is vote with your feet, shop somewhere else. And that's the fastest way to correct people, is, you know, get the market to start working with it. You guys have anything else in your wards? We have about a minute left, and it'd be great to hear any other thing you've got.
I'd just say thank you to all the residents and all the people for their understanding in these difficult times. The town, the region, the province, the federal government are going through something that's unprecedented, and everybody who goes to work every day, thank you for what you've done, and thank you for putting your health at risk, and thank you to everyone for the understanding in going through these times, and the civility with which you've gone about conducting yourself.
We are a nice town, you know. Thank you too for all that you've done. And to you, I want to thank you for joining in and joining us on Oakville Matters. You know, we had these restrictions in order to buy time to increase the capacity of our healthcare system, so that when we had to have the virus, we would be able to be treated and not look like New York or Milan, where the hospitals were overwhelmed. Oakville, you were wonderful. You beat the curve, and that's to be able to reopen. See you next time on Oakville Matters.